Okay, I'll go with one grilled fish. Szechuan is fine. Yeah. Grilled, yeah, grilled. Indian marinated, yeah, that's fine. Bacon wrap grilled prawns. That's it, that's my main course. Yeah, I wouldn't have anything. Fresh lime soda salted. You know what? I prefer this side profile rather than this. So can we move here?
Yeah, whatever. Yes,
I like the left profile than that. A 10-year-old Sheldon. No one has ever asked me that question before, like that specific. But let me go back into whatever humanly is possible timeline wise. I was a curious, naughty, mixed, lost kind of kid growing up in school. In fact, very interestingly, while coming to this interview, I passed by my school, which is not very far from your OLPS Chembur, and it was nostalgia because I remember the streets, the smell of the streets, everything, like, just the entry, the gate, all of that. But the road was closed, and then we went all the way, flipped, and came back. So I was like, God, you're bringing me back to this place after years together. Mom used to take me to music lessons, again in Chembur, not very far from here. But I was this kid that was always inquisitive, always wanted to do things outside the box. My piano teacher literally told my mom, this guy is good for nothing, don't send him, don't bring him here, you're wasting your time and effort. Because if my mom, if I had to practice what was written in the book, like the piano teacher would give me assignments to practice, I would go back home and practice some Bollywood, the latest tunes. So I was always this kinesthetic learner. I would learn from listening, and I'm still that guy. I'm still listening and always trying to find what intrigues me and what is intriguing, and keep learning in that inquisitive way. So probably around that time, when we were in 7th or 8th grade, was when we got our first Hyundai Santro car, and we would drive to church. And at that time, we managed to get these Don Moen cassettes, Integrity Music Don Moen cassettes, and we would play that cassette in loop, like cover to cover. Steve Cuban, Don Moen, couple of other, Ron Kennelly or something, and these were cassettes, and we would play it in the car and play them in loop and loop and loop and loop. So those songs just came inside. The music that I always had as a gift, I believe I was gifted as a musician, because nobody else in my family was, musical in that sense. So listening to those cassettes, I dreamed a dream. One day my name would be on one of those cassettes with Integrity Music written on it. And I would, I literally, at that age, I made my own cover inlay, hand-drawn cover inlay with my own passport size picture on it of that time. And I wrote Sheldon Bangera and musician, Integrity Music, all of that. Crazy, funny how as the timeline fast forward, some of those desires that are inside us are put by God, and He puts them for the larger timeline and for His purposes, and so they are deeply engraved inside of us. So I'm always telling people, if you have desires, many times those desires are put into your heart by God from above already.
If you could ask God one question, and if He could give you a clear answer, what would that question be?
Man, okay. If I were to ask Him, I'd be like, Lord, can you just give me I want to see the whole story. But that's the only thing, yeah. If it's about my life, yeah, for sure. Because, I have such a close and intimate and deep relationship with God that I'm okay with anything. I'm okay to go anywhere. I'm okay to do anything. I'm okay to suffer. I'm okay to die. I'm okay to, go up. I'm okay to go down. I'm okay to lose. I'm okay to win. So I really don't have I'm not tied to the consequence. I've learned one thing in life is not to be tied to the consequence, but just inquisitive me is like, how, when, what, where, why. Can you show me the whole picture? I just want to know. If you just show me, I'll be cool. I won't change anything, but.
Why do we close our eyes when we pray? Does that make God hear better?
Oh, that's a great question. I personally don't necessarily believe in closing my eyes. We were in school, we were in class 7 or 8, and we had this boy band. That time it was a boy band culture, Backstreet Boys, Boyzone, Westlife, all of that. And I was from that age and era. And so we had a boy band also on stage, and cool looking dudes singing together, pitches, harmonies. And I had this dream that one day when I grow big, I want to travel the world with music. I'm not going to be sitting in a 9 to 5. I'm not going to be sitting behind a computer desk and doing, what I saw my parents do or whatever. I just knew deep down inside me that that was where I was going to head. But just didn't know how and where. I am living out that dream. Like we spoke 5 minutes ago, you said rockstar life. Honestly, I am traveling one city every day, practically. Out of 365 days, I think I'm traveling for more than 250 days.
Wow.
Easily, probably if not more. And so the thing is that I knew deep down in my heart that I was going to be doing this, but I just didn't know how and what was going to be the music, what was the vehicle. Today I'm doing it for a spiritual reason. I'm doing it for Christ, and because I had a dramatic encounter with Christ to discover my purpose, to discover things about the world, the universe, the cosmos, the heaven and hell and earth, and that became my my reality. That impacted my reality in such a massive way. So I believe like everyone has dreams and desires, and we are all going to live out our purpose. We've all been sent here. We have a package. There's a packaging, unpackaging of your DNA, your bloodline, the information that's there already written inside your your genetic code. You are going to be doing something on those lines, but exactly how distorted, whether that's going to be for destruction or whether that's going to be for construction, whether that's going to be to break lives or build lives, is going to be a matter of question. Everyone's going to be living their purpose. Now the question is whether it's going to be to help people or it's going to be for a positive or a negative cause. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. Does it?
It makes sense, but this is what I feel listening to your story, that in this entirety of whatever cosmic or universal conspiracy, for a lack of a better word, you put yourself out there. You went out there and you worked hard towards getting to your dream. So in an ideal world where people talk about God a lot, I would say God loves people who help themselves. Is that right to say?
Yeah, it is. It is. God loves people who help themselves. Actually, God loves all people, regardless. So, my theory to that would be, if God would love people who can help themselves, that's a great thought to have. What about those who cannot help themselves?
Right. The most underrated quality that is often overlooked in India, for that matter. For me, it's punctuality.
Wow.
What do you reckon?
I apologize, I'm half an hour late.
No.
I feel like that question changes dynamically season to season for us.
Right.
But for me, absolutely, in this season, what I feel is compassion.
Compassion. On a lighter note, what do you reckon Jesus' favorite meal was?
Jesus' favorite?
Meal.
Man, I see fish a lot. Guess what? I have ordered fish and prawns today.
Could you tell us about Pyar To Andha Hai? How did you come up with that crazy song, man?
I was this new believer, probably 2 or 3 years old Christian, very passionate about my relationship with Jesus. And I was trying to guard myself and protect myself from relationships and not to fall in any area where I could be compromising my faith or my relationship with God. And then I fell in love with this girl. It happened very weirdly. That whole episode opened my eyes to love, what it really is. There's like many aspects and dimensions to love. And love understood from a perspective where I was hanging out with this girl. I was in college, she was in college. We would hang out, go out, spend time, romantic time. That's why it is a romantic song, technically. It is a romantic song. I would spend a lot of romantic time with this girl. And 1 month in, 2 months in, about 3 months in, about 6 months into the relationship, I was so in love with this girl that I thought, hey, beyond this, there is that beyond this, there's no other experience. Like, this is like heaven. You feel those goosebumps. I'm sure anyone that's been in love, or love for the first time, you feel that companionship. You want to talk for hours together. You want to, you want to just go on. There's no agenda to your romantic banter and talk, and there's no agenda to it. And so I was enjoying the season when suddenly the shift happened. And mind you, one of the places that we would visit very often was Bandra Bandstand. So because we would visit Bandra Bandstand so often, I would find there are other folks just like us, just the couples that come there, like they come with their chhata, and they'll basically sit down there on the rocks. And I find like, wow, these guys don't even care. What if their parents walk by? What if somebody from their society or building walks by? They wouldn't even care. They're so deeply in love in that whole expression that they wouldn't care for the world. Ab duniya bhaad mein gaya in logon ko. So that's where I got that line from. जब दो प्रेमी मिल जाए तब दुनिया भाड़ में जाए और उनके प्रेम की कोई समझ नहीं. So I was experiencing this, and I was experiencing exactly this when the relationship broke. It came to a random end because I realized she was two-timing me. She was cheating on me, dating somebody else, and I got to know that, and she randomly stopped answering my calls, and heartbreak. We know how heartbreak feels. It's like one sudden day, your body, your mind is like so into the person that you're calling that person, you miss calling them 20 times, 50 times. You just want them to answer the call, and they're like, so those experiences I'm sure many people have had. And so I've been in that state of shock. And then I realized one day while I was sitting in my room, and I went into depression because of that, almost a 6-month depression period, trying to recover. And it's legit. This kind of grief and depression is legit in heartbreak. And so one day, just, there would be times when I would walk for kilometers together from Chembur to Vashi, like thinking, I want to end my life. I had suicidal thoughts, those kind of crazy things in that whole phase. One day when I was sitting with my guitar in my bedroom, I got this tune. And I was praying, I was like, God, why did you let me go through this? I just didn't want to fall in this trap. This is the one thing I didn't want to fall into. And look how stupid I look right now. I'm like chasing a girl. Like, I can't even help myself. I'm just so frustrated. Like, what? Help me, Lord. And in that moment, I felt like Jesus walked into the room. I didn't see him, but I felt his presence. And I felt like he was telling me, "Tu kaisa banda hai yaar? Ladki ke piche bhag raha hai jo tujhe kuch nahi de sakti. Mujhe dekh, I have died on the cross for you, gave my life for you." So that moment, like, I got healing through that song, and then writing that song and singing it over and over again. So that's exactly what it meant. जब दो प्रेमी मिल जाए तब दुनिया भाड़ में जाए और उनके प्रेम की कोई समझ नहीं. उस प्रेम से कहीं ज़्यादा है मेरा जीवन दाता जिसने मेरे लिए अपनी जान भी दी. तेरे लिए जीऊँगा, तेरे लिए मरूँगा. So then I made a decision, Lord, from this point on, if I live, it's going to be for you. If I die, it's going to be for you. लड़की वड़की भाड़ में, दुनिया भाड़ में, सब कुछ भाड़ में. Jesus, तू ही है. So that's how that song came about.
Can a 18 or 19-year-old become what you've become with the same passion for music, but minus that conviction and minus that faith in God?
I think absolutely.
You reckon?
I do, because with dedication, commitment, and passion, zeal, this consistency, you can go there. But what I think makes me different is my heart for people, because there's a purpose to what I do. My purpose is not to become famous. My end goal is not to become the number one. My end goal is to live life, discover my journey with Christ, and capture songs as they happen to me in my journey, write songs that can bless people and inspire people to actually connect with God. So there's a purpose right there at the end of the day for me. There's a lot of people that want to be famous, want to do music, want to live the rock star life, want to travel. But for what? Why?
Right.
Is the end goal self, or is the end goal God? And end goal people. Like, people should be blessed. Like, my end goal is like people should be blessed if they come to my concert. I was in Andaman, Port Blair, 2 nights ago. And for a 5 p.m. concert, 4 o'clock it was packed. The auditorium was packed. They had to send people back. What I loved about it was that people were touched. If you go on to my stories and see the Instagram and stuff, you'll see people on the stage. It's like a holy mess. There's people on the stage, there's kids dancing, there's nobody And that's one thing I do in my concerts is I break the notion between we, the upstage people, and you below the stage people. I call kids, I call young people up on stage and dance and go crazy. Because I'm like, in heaven, there is no stage, a platform, and you people down there. It's all one. We are all in the Father's house. So I want to simulate that.
What would your last meal look like if you had to choose your last meal ever?
Man, probably a nice piece of steak or fish or something like that, yeah. So if you eat clean and if you eat less, allow your body to digest more and just not fall for the traps that have been set for us, random cravings. I believe, if you master certain desires, like master as in take control of certain desires like hungers, passion, lust, certain desires, if you're able to, by the grace of God, if you're able to work on them like for mastery, I think you can rule the world.
My God, that's a crazy insight on achieving what you want to achieve, right?
Massively.
Because these are the main factors that determine success.
So no one can control my food or my eating. No one can control my seeing. No one can control my relationships. No one can. So that's where I think over the past 20 years, I wouldn't say I did it alone, but I expressed my desires. See, desire is at the heart of everything. Even God can't help you if your desires are corrupt. If you're desiring to sleep with 100 women, God can't help you. You'll get your desire eventually. But if your desire is to stay pure, for example, if your desire is to be fit and to live like 100 years old and, but a pure, good, upright, righteous life, God can help you. Guys who can control the plate are going to rule half the world. Guys who can control the plate and the guy down there, you can rule the world. God looks at things that man does not look at.
Right.
Man looks at our education, our achievements, our accomplishments, our like what we've made in life, achieved in life, finance, money, all of that. God looks at broken pieces that He can, use. Yeah. There are a couple of food joints I really like. Like I like the Joey's Pizza in Malad. I really love it. I love an Eva's Pizza in somewhere around Marol. Yeah, I like the modern lunch home and the seafood that you get in Sion. Those are some eat places. Love to take a stroll or a walk around Bandstand. Love to hate the Mumbai traffic for sure. Yeah.
Most people, they are aware of things in their head most of the times, but many fail to articulate it. But you articulated it in a very, very simple and easy way, man.
Man, I'm glad.
And again, that was the purpose of organized religion, maybe, right? Just for man to be able to control his food habits, his lust, etc., so that the world can become a better place, essentially.
Yeah. Do you know what you can do? You can get so caught up in a relationship with the divine that all these things look like shadows, like they don't mean anything. They're the best restaurants in the world, like sleeping with the hottest women or whatever. I mean, whatever people fantasize can seem like really because I have something far better. So I believe I do have something far better that allows me to treat all of this as like, okay, fine, you know what, food or no food, I can. Like this year we did 80 days of fasting. Like I did 80 days of fasting, like one meal fasting. But it was fun. It was not out of I want to prove something to somebody or I want to achieve something, I want to pray. No, it's just about putting the flesh down so that I can put the spirit up and be active more in that realm rather than in this realm.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I arrived the night before yesterday from Andaman, Port Blair. Yesterday all day I was in the studio till like late evening. So yeah, it can be pretty random.
Do you fly business or private or economy?
I fly mostly economy, occasionally business, depending on the venue. Yesterday I had to travel from Chembur to Malad. And the thought was, okay, can I make it in this much time? And for me, because like I don't have any biases towards modes of transport or whatever. I can drive my way there, I can go by cab, I can book the Uber Premier, or I can do like a metro. And I don't find any difference in them. But to save the headspace of that, I'll be going to a studio, and before that I want to have certain thoughts, and the comfort of just being able to think properly and clear-headed requires me to probably do a cab instead of doing a metro, because metro, and I did all my math and going, coming, changing rickshaw to metro 1 to metro 2. So that's my logic behind luxury, because what may be a luxury to someone else is a prerequisite for their work or mission to somebody else.
Right.
For someone, a Mercedes might be a luxury. For someone else, a Mercedes S-Class would be that, hey, they need the comfort of being able to, use their laptop in the thing, or just sit in that headspace. And if they can afford it, then why not? Embrace adversity, because adversity is what is actually going to shape you. I'll give you an example. If you just very easily get what you desire, right? Like I want to interface the latest MacBook Pro, and then I'll make music and this and that. You most likely won't be successful.
Right.
You'll have a fad, you'll go up, and then you'll just drop that like any other fad, But let's say you have so much of challenge and so much of obstacles and so many, your parents aren't supporting you, you don't have. So what makes legends is actually the adversity, not the convenience. So for young people, I would say, listen, there are things in your life that you love doing, and there are things that in life that you hate doing at this point of time. Anyone watching me right now, you love doing something, you hate doing something. But the things that you hate doing are actually what is going to make you who you are. The prefrontal mid-cingulate cortex, anterior mid-cingulate cortex, is that part of the brain that swells up every time you do a difficult task.
Really?
Yeah. There is a part of your brain that grows and enlarges in size every time you do something that you hate doing. When Jesus says honor your father and mother, when the word of God says honor your father and mother that you might live long in the land, that has a connection to your anterior mid-cingulate cortex, because everyone knows honoring your father and mother is not the easiest thing to do.
Right.
Especially
Absolutely.
if they're like disciplining. So doing that will earn you life. So there was a study done in like World War veterans, those people who are like 98, 99, 100, 105 years old, and they're not dying still, they're still in good health. Why are they like that? Why are they not dying? It's because their anterior mid-cingulate cortex has blown up in size. And it's that part of your brain that is associated with willpower, but not just willpower as in like completing a task, but willpower as in even the will to survive. This world has good and bad. What matters is your lens. It depends on what lens you're looking through.
Right.
Jesus said, if the eye is a lamp of the body, if the eye has light, the whole body will be full of light. Which means, internally, your spirit man will be full of light, and everything you see around, you'll see light.
Right.
But if you're dark here, everything will be darkness.
Which is your favorite band?
I think Coldplay as of now, consistent, clean, great performances, great sound, consistency over a span of, because you know what, I love to be inspired by people, Christian or non-Christian. I've been consistent over a span of like 5 decades, 6 decades, because that's where I want to go.
Did people ever laugh at your music before they started clapping?
I'm sure they did. A lot of people doubted, and a lot of people don't even know how successful I am going to be. It's God's hand on my life, and what I was born and destined to do, it's already written, signed in heaven above.
If you could sing a song, any song in this world except Christian music, what song would you choose?
Probably Kailash Kher's Saiyan.
Wow, man, what a choice.
And I do sing that a lot. It's one of my all-time favorites. I'm not ashamed to say that to a Christian audience on camera. I know many would judge me. Looking at that, many of you Christian people will judge me. But you know what? God knows that we have to share the table with everyone and bring that same Jesus to everybody and His love to everyone, right? Does that make sense?
You know what I think? The people who judge you on the basis of that fact are quite shallow, man.
People will come and go. Situations will change. The place of your family where you were born may be the best or may not be the best. You may have been through struggles, obstacles, challenges, setbacks, losses, gains, victories, wins, crowns. You might have networks, people, all of that. But listen, one thing that won't change is the purpose for which you were sent to the earth. Find out that purpose, discover it, guard it, protect it, work hard on it, and never deviate from that purpose. As long as you're living and breathing, you'll always win. How much can the human ear hear? 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, right?
Right.
That's our audibility spectrum, our audio spectrum. What about below 20 hertz and what about above 20,000 hertz? That means there is more and we are just stuck inside this, right? So in this, now you and I know that there's radio waves over here, right?
Right.
We know there's Wi-Fi happening here. All of that is at a particular frequency. And we know that we are also made up of electrons, protons, neutrons, like even matter is made up of these basic elements, which is all vibrating at a frequency. So would there not be other beings and other entities in this room at different frequencies?
100%.
So that's the thing. So for us to be able to tap into certain frequencies of those realms, we have to make certain alterations.
You're such a deep thinker, man. I'm so happy, bro.
In probably 2015, 16-ish, that's when I started to become aware and I started to be like, hey, I want to lose weight. Let's start there. So somebody told me about intermittent fasting back in the day, 2015, 16. So I said, okay, let me try it out. Okay, what do you have to do? Skip breakfast. Okay, chal, let's try that. It worked. Then somebody said, all right, try to increase your intermittent fasting window. A friend of mine lost massive kilos. Like, I'm like, what did you do? Like, OMAD. Like, what is OMAD? 1 meal a day. Like, wow, come on, OMAD. It's like, dude, I want to try this out. So I tried it. It worked. Then somebody told me paleo is the thing that will work. You just eat, chicken tandooris or whatever. That will make you win. I'm like, wow, let's try that. That worked for me for some time. Then I tried keto. Keto was like high fat. I did it wrong the first 3-4 times, but then I got it right. It's all about high fat, moderate protein, super low carb. So I did like high fats, ghees, butters. So then I started tracking whether cow is eating hay or grass, and if it's eating in a happy mood or a bad mood. Like all these things, I started getting into all of that, and I started reading a lot, researching a lot, watching a lot of things. And then I realized the sugar mafia, the carb mafia, everything has a angle to it. What we're being fed today, the fruits are bioengineered. Everything has an angle to it. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's interesting because think about it. If the devil can control food, or if whatever big corporations can control food, they can enslave people. But those who are not in the food trap are beyond the slavery. They're above the slavery, right? I have done a 40-day fast, and I've done not one, I've done at least 3 40-day fasts in total on only water. And I found it not very difficult to do. Recently this year I did about 80 days with one meal every day. 80 days with one meal, one Holy Communion every night and a meal after that. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. meal.
I'm going to suggest you go to Pure Bicep and to unpack the entirety of your knowledge.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, man.
I'm happy that you could pull out so much, in this little time that we had together. That's good.